Welcome to another episode of Voice of a Niner Faithful. I'm your host, Jason Teal. Today, we will be talking about several things. The first being, we'll go over all the coaching updates, and there are many. We'll also talk about some front office updates. We are also going to talk about a little bit about the Colton McKivitz re-signing and roll that right on into the draft picks that we have this year, 10 of them. We're also going to talk a little bit about Brandon Aiyuk, trade or not, my opinion at least. We're also going to talk about maybe a little bit about Juwan Jennings. We'll see if I can fit him in. I think we can. We're also going to talk a little bit about coming off of the running backs in the draft. Maybe we should we pick a running back in the draft? Shouldn't we? And then we will see about going over what actual title that they're going to give Brandon Staley, assistant head coach. Yes, that's his title, but what exactly is he going to do? And yes, that will tie in with the coaching updates. But the first thing that we're going to talk about, and it's a tough one because it's a death. And it's a death about Chris Mortensen, the NFL reporter, analyst, journalist, long time. He was with ESPN for quite a while. Let's see if I can bring that up. It's up here somewhere. Here we go. Over 3 decades doing this job. That's dedication. Somebody's got to love their job to be doing it that long. And I've only been doing this. This is my 5th episode, and I like it a lot. I think I'm getting this down a little bit better every week. And though it's not my professional thing, I already love what I'm doing. I like talking about the 49ers. Chris Mortensen loved talking about and reporting about the NFL. He was an amazing person. So from what I've read from everybody who's known him that I've seen reports on, all of the stories about him, he's just an all-around good person and did his job really well. And I think he will be missed in the NFL community. And my condolences to his family. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a Mortensen in the future who will take his spot. He did have, I believe, a daughter. Let's see. This particular story doesn't say who he was survived by, but his wife and his daughter, I believe it was. Either way, who knows? In the future, we might have another Mortensen just to take his spot. Not that we can replace him. He's not replaceable. But it would be awesome to see something like that. So now that that's taken care of, let us move on and we will talk about some coaches. So last week, I talked about the defensive coordinator and who was up for interviews and all that. And then the day after I posted my episode, they picked the defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen. So I like the pick. I like Nick Sorensen. He's been with the organization. I like that they hired from within. I personally think that they should have picked Bullock. But now that we know who it is, let's stick with Nick Sorensen. I'm going to go back and watch some games from this past season and see if I can catch him on the sideline, see if he was energetic, see how he reacted to certain, good plays, bad plays, see if he was as, we all remember how Saleh was, and we all know how Ryans was on the sidelines, how excited they got when, awesome plays. They're jumping up and down. That kind of energy. I'd love to see somebody else with that kind of energy because I think that energy transfers to the players. And with that, we'll have a better defense. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, we also picked up as an assistant head coach Brandon Staley, which kind of surprising move. Here they are interviewing for defensive coordinator, and they interviewed him for defensive coordinator. And you know what? We don't want you for this, but let's do this for you. So maybe with his experience as a head coach and former defensive coordinator, maybe with him and Sorensen, they can one of them can be up in the booth and one of them on the ground. I think Nick Sorensen should be on the ground. Maybe put Staley up in the booth. Between the two of them, with a mix, I think we can pull something off. I think this could be a good thing. Now, whether it works or not, we'll see. Again, I think it's going to be a good thing. Now, as for some other interesting picks for coaches, we also did pick up Mick Lombardi. Mick Lombardi, he was with the 49ers previously. While back, though, it was he started under Harbaugh, but then after Harbaugh, he jumped to he stayed with the organization when Jim Tomsula took over, and then the very next year when Chip Kelly took over, and we know how those all played out. But so he has a little bit of touch with the 49ers, so to speak, but pretty much no one's here from that time frame anymore. So it's going to be all new to him. What will his job title be? We don't know yet. He was with the Raiders before. He was their offensive coordinator before they fired everybody in October, the end of October last year. They fired him and the head coach and general manager all at the same time. So who knows what's going to happen, what position he's actually going to be. Maybe they'll give him the title of offensive coordinator, though Shanahan will still play the main role. Something like McDaniel, and who went to Miami. You know how he kind of was the OC, but Shanahan called plays. Something similar. That's my guess. That can't be a bad thing. Can only help. Shanahan's still going to have the final say, but can't hurt to have that extra voice, extra person to bounce ideas off of, who has more of an offensive mind. So I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, the other interesting signing that we did, we hired KJ Wright, former Seahawks linebacker. He was with the Seahawks for a long time. Then he did a quick year with the Raiders, and then he retired from playing. And now we're hiring him as a assistant linebackers coach. I think he actually has another title, assistant linebackers coach and defensive quality control coach. So, yeah, KJ Wright, we all know how well he played. Had a lot of good plays against our Niners. So I think it will be a benefit to have him there. He's a good player, or was a good player. I think you have some good insights. I think Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw and the rest of the linebacker core will get some good knowledge from him. So it definitely can't hurt. I think he's going to do pretty good. I personally like it when former players become the coaches. It's like when I was in the military, I preferred an officer who used to be enlisted over an officer that just came out of the academy. Not saying that those officers weren't great. I just think that the officers that came from being enlisted had a better feel for how the enlisted were. Same thing with coaching. The player, a coach that used to be a player knows how that player has a better feel for that. So I sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I think in this case, this will work out really well for us. I think KJ Wright was a really good linebacker. I think he's going to be a really good linebacker coach, and I can see in the next 10 years him moving up and being a DC. Who knows? But either way, that's four different hires in just the past week for the 49ers for coaching. They're making a lot of moves here. So I think I think there's a plan. I think Lynch and Shanahan have some plan, and I think this is going to help. Now, speaking of other new hires, the front office, because of our loss of Adam Peters going to Washington to be their GM, there was a little gap to fill, and that gap is now filled by two people, which just shows how big Adam Peters was to the organization, that it takes two people to cover for him. So the two people that are covering for him are now, Lynch didn't want to call them co-directors of player personnel. They're both, that's their title is just director of player personnel. The first guy is Tariq Ahmad. It's his third season as the director of college scouting. And let's see, after serving the 2020 season as the team's assistant director of college scouting. So he's more on the side of going, maybe doing the combine stuff, making his opinions known of certain players coming out of college. And I don't think he's obviously done a bad job because of the players we picked. So I think that's a good hire, and again, an internal hire. Same with R.J. Gillen. I actually wrote in my notes green. I don't know why, but it's R.J. Gillen. He has been with the Niners for 9 seasons, according to what I'm reading right off the 49ers.com webpage. Director after serving 5 years as pro personal scout. So Ahmad was for college. Gillen was for maybe pick up free agents, that sort of thing. And again, I think we've done pretty good there. So I think this is a good role for both of these gentlemen. I think hopefully they pick some younger talent to cover their old spots. I don't know if they want to be doing both their own old jobs and new jobs. Try to start grooming some new folks. That's always a good thing. I think both of these guys, it looks like they've been with the organization a decent amount of time. They know how Lynch and Shanahan want their players, and I think this is going to be a good thing again for our team. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, speaking of finding people in college and finding people in free agency, we can move right on in to the draft picks. I know we can combine something here because I said we'd talk a little bit about the Colton McKivitz signing, because I want to bring that up now because that will alleviate a little of what we might need in the draft, because we can now, with his signing, now you see the $7 million 1 year. That's actually for the next year, the 2025 season. So he's already been signed. He's already cool for this season coming up, This will take him through the 2025 season. But it might sound like a lot, but it's really $3.5 million for both years. So it's not really huge like it might sound, and it's not going to hit us on the cap very much. Not a big deal. And it's not starting right tackle pay. He's going to start. He started pretty good last year. He did really good last year. Where was his thing? I got it up here. Boom, boom. Here we go. This is something interesting that we probably all didn't realize, because I know I didn't until I read it. Made it through an entire season where he only committed 2 penalties. 2 out of the whole season. You can't beat that for a 5th-round pick. So I think he's doing extremely well for when he was picked, for what the expectations were for him. And yes, can we pick up somebody in the draft for right tackle? Certainly. Will they start right away? Depends on how well they do in preseason. But Colton McKivitz is a good sign. And now we can concentrate on maybe something else. Maybe we can say, all right, we might not need that 1st-round right tackle. Maybe we can get a 1st-round right guard or a 1st-round cornerback. Maybe we can work on a 3rd-round tackle. And I think that would work out well. Maybe we can even bump up using one of the 4th-round. What do we have? We have 3 4th-round picks. And we can maybe trade up, use that 3rd-round, lower 3rd-round, and one of the 4th-round picks, and get higher up in the early 3rd-round and pick a better right tackle there. That would be my suggestion. But I would say getting into the draft, first 3 picks should be something offensive guard, offensive tackle, cornerback, not necessarily in that order. But those would be my top 3 things that we would need in the draft. I think anybody else we can get in the later rounds. We seem to have some good magic in the later rounds. I don't think we have to worry about running back. I think CMC is going to be around good another year. And we have Jordan Mason. We have Elijah Mitchell. Yes, Elijah Mitchell is injury prone, to say the least. But when he is healthy, he does really good. I think actually we should have used him a little more this year. We were lucky that CMC didn't get any major injuries. But I don't think we're going to need to sign or draft a running back. Maybe we can pick up a free agent running back later on. Who knows? I don't think that's a major issue. Wide receiver, we can pick a later round on that. 4th round, 5th round. Maybe we can let our backup QB go and pick up a new QB in the draft, late round, just like Purdy is. So I think we have options in the later rounds, but my 1st-round picks would be a cornerback, offensive guard, offensive tackle. And again, not necessarily in that order. I think that's what we need to look at. All right. Let's go into this wonderful debate on Brandon Aiyuk. Now, I have seen many things online about Brandon Aiyuk, trade, this, that, the other. I wonder if I have it here. I saw it in one of my fan groups online. Someone saying, yeah, we should. Yeah, we shouldn't. There's a lot of pluses and minuses to it. Sure, let's see. Let's talk about the pluses of trading him. One, we wouldn't have to pay him. So more money for the cap. Two, do we trade him for another wide receiver or draft picks? Or if we do draft picks, we probably get a good. We could possibly get a first round, maybe a second round, but that would be my guess. But maybe a first round pick if we're lucky um, for Brandon Aiyuk. But my personal thought, and that's what this show is about, is we should keep him. I think we have more benefits to keeping him than we do to get rid of him. Now, his stats from the past couple of years, here we go. I think here we go. 2022, he had just a little over 1,000 yards receiving. And 2023, he had 1,300 yards receiving. I only see that getting more this year. I think he could hit that 1,500 mark. And I think the chemistry that he has with Brock Purdy is only going to get better. Yes, there's a lot of things that we could say about the whole target issue during the Super Bowl. He didn't get a lot of targets, and that's one of the why didn't he target so much? Didn't his brother come out and say something about that? Brandon Aiyuk's brother. Oh, why would he stay there? He only got 3 targets in the Super Bowl. Let's look that up here real quick. Brandon YUK brother post. All right. Both alluded to, as Aiyuk's girlfriend and brother both alluded to how he could angle for a move out of San Francisco this offseason. Brandon Aiyuk's girlfriend talking about the possibility of him not being in the 49ers. Okay, this might be the last day we touch foot on Levi's Stadium, me and Braylon, their son, because we might not be out here next season. That was a post from Brandon Aiyuk's girlfriend on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But I don't see that having any issue. I think they were upset at the time. Yeah, he should have got maybe a few more targets in the Super Bowl. I don't think we're trading him. I think we're keeping him. And I think this is going to drag out. Think Debo. Think when we signed Kittle. Think when we re-signed Bosa, everything went down to the wire. That's just how the 49ers operate, and that's going to be no exception here. We're going to re-sign Brandon Aiyuk. It's going to take right up until almost first game of the season, I'm betting. And there's going to be so many rumors out there and this, that, and the other. And I could see him doing the whole thing of, I'm going to stop following the 49ers on X. Oh, no. No. We're re-signing him. That is my prediction. We're re-signing him. It'll be a late re-sign, just like Bosa, just like Debo. It's going to happen. So I hope that all of you out there will not flood the fan groups with goofiness. Let it happen. It's going to be there. Now, I did mention that we might talk about a little bit about Jauan Jennings. Let's bring up his stats from last year. Jauan Jennings. All right, so 2022, he had 35 receptions for 416 yards. 2023 actually went down 19 receptions for 265 yards. But you can't deny, first in Jauan, those, it might have been less receptions, less yards, but those were some important yards. Without him, we don't make certain first downs and continue the games. He is an integral part of this team. He needs to stay. I think he will stay. Yeah, he's a free agent. He can leave if he wants, if somebody else wants to pay him more. And that might affect how we pick certain things in the draft. But I think we'll find a way to keep him. I think he fits really well with the rest of the team. I think the rest of the team and him, they gel really well together. I think he knows his position. I think he knows his role, as The Rock would say. So I think we're keeping him. And again, if it's one of those things, it could come down to the wire, just like every other signing. Remember that, 49er faithful. This is just how the 49ers front office works. So we're going to keep Juwan. We're going to keep Aiyuk. We don't have to worry about paying Purdy yet. We got another year or so to worry about that. I think they'll start working on it after next year, as soon as we win the Super Bowl. Hopefully, woo. We will start worrying about paying Brock Purdy. But right now, I think we're all good. I think we're going to keep our base people. We're going to pick up some decent people in the draft. I don't know about free agents. I don't know who we could really pick up. I'd have to I'll start doing some research in on that for future episodes about what free agents we can pick up and go over those. But for right now, I think our core players are going to stay. Wouldn't it be awesome to get Joey Bosa, speaking of a free agent? Maybe future episode to talk about. We got, what do we got coming up? We got the combine done. We got the draft coming up. Free agency opening up soon. So, let's look at those dates real quick. I got a couple more minutes. 49ers. Let's go to news. Important dates. 5 things to know. No, we don't want that. We can go over some of those. Those will be interesting for another episode. Important dates. Thought there was something about important dates for the 49ers. I'll find it for the next episode. We'll talk about the important dates for the 49ers coming up. The open when free agency starts, what happens on those days between then and the draft, and then when they can start reporting for practices, the early camps and that sort of thing, and slowly work our way toward preseason. It's going to be a good off season for us. It's already starting out pretty good. We got some good coaches coming in. So with that, y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you all next week.